Ready. Play.
Cool. So, Patrick, on the eve of another UTS event, how are you feeling about this one here in Frankfurt?
I'm feeling great. I think we have a great lineup of players again. We're going to have super high level. They're playing a match at the moment. They're getting used to this format. We're very happy to have Dominic Thiem. It's one of his last matches of his whole career, so it's going to be emotional. We have Struff, which is, I think, an incredible player. The quality of the tennis he plays is fantastic. And we have, of course, a lot of really top players. So it's going to be, as always, a fierce competition between top-level guys, and in an atmosphere that is really different from what we're used to on tour. Much faster, much more dynamic, much louder, with a DJ, with people allowed to shout even during the points. There is some of the vibe that looks like Davis Cup, I think, in terms of ambience, plus the music on top of it. So I'm very excited as always.
What is the plan? What's 2025, 2026, 2027 look like in terms of UTS?
Well, we announced already for next year that we're going to go to Mexico, and we're going to go to Guadalajara. And we're very excited about that also because we are global and we want to go to all the regions of the world. So to have Latin America now, a destination there, it's really cool. And we announced also Nîmes in France, in an arena that is unique in the world. And this is also extremely exciting. And we're thinking about what we're going to do in the future, in the next years. But for the moment, there is nothing that I can say.
Got it.
A lot of good things coming up.
You want UTS to be here for 5-10 years. It's a long-term thing, right?
Of course, and I don't see any limit. I don't see an expiration date. I think we're here to last. We're here to also propose a different type of tennis for different people, not the typical fans. I mean, typical fans are also welcome to watch, of course, but we definitely want to bring new people to tennis. So we'll see. And then the way it evolves now, I don't see an expiration date at all.
Sure. Is there anything that when you had this idea and these new, obviously, differences between this and the main tour, were you also thinking that maybe if the main tour came to you and said, hey, we're going to take that idea that you use, for example, I mean, would that bother you? Is that what you would like, or?
No, first of all, nothing really bothers me, and I have no problem for competition. To be in, we are in an environment. It's a business, and in business there are competitors, and I think it's great because it makes everybody better. I also did this for the tennis because I'm probably, if not the biggest, I'm one of the biggest tennis fans in this world.
Okay.
Since I'm 4 years old, I'm completely passionate about tennis, and I do this because I think it's necessary. The world has changed. We cannot change tennis because the fans are very traditionalist and conservative, and they would hate it. So to have those two formats next to each other, I think is the best for tennis today. If tomorrow the ATP, the WTA, they want to be involved, they want to be part of it, they want it to be under their umbrella, I'm prepared to really collaborate. It's nothing aggressive at all. It's really for the good of tennis and for all the tennis industry. I think it's a good thing.
Cool. We've obviously just had the big news last week of Rafa saying he's retiring. We had Roger a couple of years ago. Who knows how much longer Novak will continue. If you, Patrick, the coach, could have coached one of those three players, which one would you have liked to have coached and why?
I think they're all, the three are so unique. Any of the three I would have liked for sure. If I had to pick one, I would pick Novak because, and I said this several years ago, because I said many years ago I thought he's going to become the greatest when he had only 15 Grand Slams. Because, only, it's already a lot, but compared to what he has now, they are the three best players of all times. So to work with one of them is something so special. But if I had to pick one, I would pick Novak because I always thought he would become the greatest. First, because he would play longer. His body is healthier than the two others' body. And I feel that his motivation to become the greatest was so huge, and if you looked at how many Grand Slams per year he was winning, I thought at some point he's going to become the greatest, and he did it. So for that reason, as we evolve in this competitive world, when you work with one of the three, you want to work with the one that you think is going to become the greatest. So I'm not saying he's better. He's playing better than the others. I don't want to be offensive to the others when I say that, but at some point, you know, to name someone the greatest, it has to be with achievements. And in terms of achievements, he's the greatest.
Sure. What do you think you could have done or could do for Novak? What do you think? I mean, you, the coach, Patrick, what would you possibly bring to, or have brought to him?
Yeah, this is not going to happen. I'm not
No,
gonna
I
coach
think
Novak.
I'm almost putting it in the past now
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if he's here for 2 or 4 years, we don't know. But what would you have brought to him?
So it's always difficult to say when you don't know the person. And I always say, I mean, I had this discussion with Nick Kyrgios. He asked me in his podcast, if you had to coach me tomorrow, what advice would you give me? And I said to him, I don't have any advice to give to anyone. I'm not giving advice. I'm embarking in the journey with you, and we'll figure out together what to do to go to the next level. So that's really what it is. What I think he could have done better, which is tough to say because it's the greatest of all time, but everyone can always do better. I feel sometimes he's not aggressive enough in his game. I think he's probably the guy who covered the court in the best possible way, because not only because of his movement, but because of the fact that moving at a very high pace and to the size, he was able to counterpunch. He's the biggest counterpuncher, I think, of all times. But I think it's, even for guys like him, counterpunchers, it's important to also lead the rallies as much as you can. And I think when he moves forward, when he takes the ball a bit earlier, steps inside the court every time he can, then I think he's almost unplayable. And he doesn't do it all the time. On the big matches, he steps. Most of the time, he steps up and does it. But it's, you know how it is. When you do something every single day, when it comes to the big moments, you did even better. So it's little details, but I guess little details make big differences.
You're embarking on a new journey as well yourself. I mean, how did this collaboration with Naomi come about?
I mean, she changed. She decided to change her coach, and then I got in touch with her. We had
You got in touch with her, or
no? She got in touch with me, but she did already 1 year before because she was looking for a coach. I was with Holger at that time, but I already had discussions with her. So they reached out again, and I'm very excited because, first of all, she's an incredible player. She's a champion. She can play. When she plays her best, I think she is probably the best. That's what I think. And but it's a challenge to bring her back there. And I think the challenge is great also because I feel her motivation is very high. So, and there is a big challenge, and this is what I like. It's always a challenge. When I started with Serena, it was a big challenge because I wanted to do better with her than she did previously, and she did so well. So the challenge was very high. In Naomi, it's more to bring her back to being in a position to win Grand Slams.
we look at players and how they evolve. What about you, Patrick, as a coach? How are you different to now, maybe 10 years ago? I mean, presumably you think you're a better coach now than you were 10 years ago, for example.
I think I am, but mostly because I made mistakes, and I think it's very important to take the lessons every time. So it's what people say, but if you look at people, most of them they don't take the lessons, and there are so many lessons. Of course, it's always better to win than to lose, but when you lose, you have to understand why you lost, what you could have done better. So next time you're gonna step up compared to what you did the previous time. So I think I learned from all my mistakes. Not to say that I won't do. I will do different ones probably, but I think life is a constant. You have to. I mean, to me, you have to put yourself in a path in which you are on a progress zone all your life, and that's why life is exciting. And I love my job also because it's never the same. It's not that this is the way I coach. I want my players to do this and this and that, and I do that all the time. Not at all. I adapt to everyone, so it's a completely different journey every time. I have no idea when I start, when I'm going to see, when I'm going to discover about the player, his game, his habits, his psychology, his physical abilities. I feel I know them perfectly everything about them, like not only the tennis, but also how they process everything. And this is what's very exciting. I'm learning from them who they are, and I'm adapting to them to help them take the best out of what they can do.
Is there a match or tournament that you as a coach you feel particularly pleased with or particularly proud of because maybe your game plan, just came perfectly out on the court?
Yeah, there were some big, I feel, coaching moments for me, and of course I keep that in mind. And sometimes it's even things that didn't work. I have one that I remember that didn't work, but it worked afterwards. It was after Serena lost in the semi-final of the US Open against Roberta Vinci.
Mm-hmm.
She won 4 Grand Slams in a row, and she was playing 2 matches left to win 5 in a row and for the same year, which would have been unbelievable. And she lost this match, and it hurt her a lot.
Yeah.
And it took her several months to come back to. I mean, a lot of months actually, 8 months. Oh, more than that, because she started to play well again in Wimbledon, and it was at the US Open. Imagine how long.
Yeah.
So she was struggling because she got so hurt, and I could realize that she was not processing like Serena anymore because she got so hurt. And she's in the final of Roland Garros. She plays Muguruza, and the whole tournament she's just not herself. So she's in the final, but I know if she plays the same way, she's not going to win it. It's not about her tennis. It's more about the way she was thinking about herself and her qualities. And I decided before the match, rather than to do what I was usually doing with her, which is game plan and everything, I decided to tell her story. I just want to reconnect her with herself because she's not connected with herself. And I tell her that, the whole story, and she's very emotional during the pre-match talk, but really, really emotional. And and then she starts the match and she starts so well. The first 3 games, and I feel, wow, she's back. But again, she started to not be herself, and she ends up losing the match. And a few days later, she calls me, and I hang up and I say, I was with a guy who's working with me, and I said, she's back mentally. Now, the way she spoke to me, it's her again. So she's going to win Wimbledon, and she won Wimbledon. But I had no surprise. So I was disappointed because she didn't win that Roland Garros final, but I was happy because I found a way to help her reconnect with herself.
Patrick, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.